Ann Widdecombe has said EU plans to rush through a Brexit deal before it has even been ratified by MEPs or member states offers a perfect illustration of why Britain decided to quit the bloc in the first place. The former Tory minister and Brexit Party MEP launched a scathing attack on Prime Minister Boris Johnson, accusing him of being too weak to capitalise on Brussels' obvious desperation to tie up an agreement. With 40 days remaining before the end of the transition period, both sides are working feverishly to get a deal over the line, with suggestions one could be unveiled by the end of the month. However, it has been suggested the European Commission, led by President Ursula von der Leyen, is ready to rush through a last-minute agreement without it being ratified by the European Parliament or individual member states. Ms. Widdecombe told Express, if they can really do that without all of the other countries being happy, that does say why we left the bloc. The fact is nobody is surprised any longer. The major reason we got out was so that we couldn't be bossed around. But nobody is surprised when the EU just decides to shortcut consultations. She added, the other thing it shows it that the EU is obviously desperate for a deal. And if Boris had any sense at all he would be using that. Because it is always being portrayed that no deal is a problem for Britain, but it is obviously a massive problem for the EU, and they are desperate to avoid it. And were I Boris the First would really be relying on that. I would simply say the issues that remain are the issues that have been troublesome all along: fishing, state aid and the ECJ. Ms. Widdecombe suggested huge problems remain which were unlikely to be resolved in the course of a few short days. She said, when people say 95% of the deal is done, 95% of the deal was always going to be done. The things that remain are the stumbling blocks, and Boris now should say it is obvious you don't want a deal and are rushing it through, but you will get no deal unless you come to our terms. The be-all and the end-all is that Boris is just weak. Mr. Johnson was desperate to get something signed off for the end of the year, said Ms. Widdecombe. The fact is he hasn't made any proper preparation to do otherwise, and nor actually has the EU. Both of them say they have, but they have not done in earnest because both sides are thinking they will come to some sort of deal. Any trade deal was likely to be a threadbare arrangement which amounted to an extension of the transition period in everything but name, Ms. Widdecombe predicted.